Try to consider how much wealth the all-time richest individual in history would possess. Now add a few hundred billion at least, and you're probably getting close to the amount of riches that Mansa Musa possessed in the 14th century. Musa originally ascended to the throne in 1312 as the ruler of the Mali Empire in West Africa. The kingdom was already thriving at that period, but during Musa's tenure, Mali saw an increase in riches. Musa grew his empire across multiple lands by taking advantage of the area's natural riches, such as salt and gold, and left a lasting mark in the process. According to economists, the West African emperor is most certainly the richest individual in history thanks to his enormous wealth. But how much money exactly did he possess? And how did he use it after that? How Mansa Musa became the richest man in history. Mansa Musa ascended to the throne of the Mali Empire through some peculiar methods. The first step was the deputization of Musa to fill in for the deposed monarch Abubakar II. Throughout the history of this empire, there was frequently an on-call monarch, as the person would be expected to take over on a full-time basis in the event that the main emperor became ill or died. It was roughly comparable to the function of a vice president in current times. Musa would in fact need to intervene due to a twist of fate. One day Abubakar left to explore the opposite side of the Atlantic Ocean, but he never came back. In 1312, Musa succeeded to the throne as Mansa Musa. Mansa is Arabic for king. However, Musa had not been selected to lead out of nowhere. Sundiata Keita, who had established the Mali Empire, was his great-uncle. As a lot of different YouTube channels will tell you, there are many ways to attain wealth. Musa made much of his money trading salt and gold, both of which were widely available in West Africa at the time. He invested a large portion of his money in enhancing Timbuktu and other significant cultural hubs. However, until he traveled outside of Africa, Musa was little known beyond the area he controlled, despite his enormous accomplishment. Musa, a devoted Muslim, was determined to perform the Hajj, also known as the pilgrimage to Mecca, in 1324, and with that, he became well known to the rest of the world. Even today, making a pilgrimage to Mecca is a significant aspect of Islam, and Musa accomplished a significant feat. He would need to travel 4,000 kilometers to get there from his dominion. Being a wealthy and strong monarch, he could not possibly travel alone. Musa set out on his pilgrimage with 60,000 companions, including servants, warriors, and sympathizers. Contrary to popular belief, Musa's servants weren't clad in rags. Instead, they wore Persian silks and walked around with gold staffs. The procession of camels, horses, and humans led by Musa attracted the attention of the entire world. Musa's caravan was not only hard to miss, but he was also buying everything he could find and handing out gold to passing peasants. Musa left the streets essentially covered in gold as he traveled through Cairo, Medina, and ultimately Mecca. However, Musa occasionally left a large wake. In Cairo, the emperor distributed so much gold that he temporarily damaged the country's economy. It was so plentiful that the value decreased. In the end, things stabilized, partly because Mansa Musa started borrowing from Cairo-based lenders despite the high interest rate. And at that time, the king virtually ruled the Mediterranean region's gold market alone. Cairo's economy did, however, take more than 10 years to fully recover from Mansa Musa's golden touch. There is little doubt that Musa's journey to Mecca would help him establish his legacy. He merely saw it as a necessary pilgrimage to honor his faith, and a method to increase the size of his expanding kingdom. At the time, he was able to acquire the Gao region on his illustrious journey. By the end of his rule, Musa would add Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Mauritania to his empire, in addition to Mali. Alright guys, we're halfway through our video on the richest person in history, Mansa Musa. If you're enjoying this video, we'd appreciate if you would take a second to like and subscribe, as it shows us that you value this content and helps us to know what videos you would like in the future. Now more about Mansa Musa, the lasting contributions of Mansa Musa's wealth. What then did Mansa Musa do with all the money, besides from handing out gold to passers-by and purchasing souvenirs with it? In the end, he utilized the majority of it to construct numerous mosques, the most well-known of which being the Djingueber Mosque. According to legend, he built one every Friday during his reign. Additionally, he established a number of universities across the kingdom. Many of these ancient structures, including the mosques and schools, are still surviving today, some 700 years later. Numerous Muslim academics, poets, and artists were drawn to Mansa Musa's dominion while he was still alive as a result of his support for Islamic education in Mali. Timbuktu, where they gathered, swiftly rose to prominence as one of the most important towns in the Islamic world. Musa also quite literally made a name for himself and his kingdom. His caravan had drawn so much interest throughout his journey to Mecca that Europeans, who were hundreds of miles away, were made aware of the journey. Abraham Cresques, a Spanish cartographer, drew numerous well-known maps with Musa's likeness in the latter half of the 14th century. The emperor appears in these pictures holding up a gold nugget while gripping a scepter and wearing a crown. For people in Europe, this portrayal of a wealthy king contributed to a certain amount of fantasy. Many European nations were experiencing economic difficulties, civil warfare, and the bubonic plague at the time. The idea of a flourishing Timbuktu and copious amounts of gold created an alluring tapestry in the minds of Europeans. Musa eventually held power over the Mali Empire for almost 20 years. He substantially expanded the reach of his trading ports during that time and rose to become one of the most powerful kings of his day, and possibly all time. He is thought to have passed away in 1332, leaving the throne to his son. Musa's legacy. It has been said that Musa's Hajj was the most significant event in West African history. Although Musa's reign is frequently referred to as Mali's Golden Age, this perception may be due to the fact that Arabic sources have the greatest documentation of it rather than Musa actually being the richest and most powerful Mansa of Mali. When Musa and his brother Suleiman were in power, the Mali Empire's realm, which at the time included the Sudan Sahel region of West Africa, was at its largest. In Man tradition, the name Musa has practically become synonymous with pilgrimage, hence other individuals who are remembered as having made pilgrimages, like Fakali, are also given the name Musa. Comprehending the vast wealth of the richest person in history, you might be curious to see how Mansa Musa compares to some modern billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, or John D. Rockefeller. Mansa Musa's net worth, after accounting for inflation, is estimated by Wikipedia to have been roughly $6.2 trillion. Nonetheless, it is often asserted that his wealth was incalculable. John D. Rockefeller, who economists estimate to have acquired a net worth of over $336 billion, is the only American billionaire from modern history even remotely close to that amount. But today's billionaires don't even get close to Musa's wealth. As of August 2022, according to Forbes, Bill Gates comes in far below Musa at $111 billion. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are a little closer. Bezos is worth about $155.3 billion. Meanwhile, Musk, who is currently the richest person in the world, has $257.3 billion to his name. In other words, the wealthiest individuals in the world now do not even come close to Mansa Musa's net worth, which he amassed during his time as emperor centuries ago. Numerous scholars now concur that Musa was the richest individual in history as a result of this, but many people still find it difficult to grasp the actual scope of his money. It's nearly impossible to get a sense of just how wealthy and powerful he genuinely was, said Rudolph Buchware, an associate professor of history at the University of California. Contemporary reports of Musa's wealth are so breathless. In the end, historians consider Mansa Musa's legacy to be rich because to the way he used his wealth rather than just how much of it he possessed. Despite the fact that his riches was indescribable, he was certainly happy to share it with others. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comments what other topics you would like to see more videos of in the future. Also be sure to check out our channel as we have many more videos on similar topics, such as billionaire individuals, top 10 luxury, top 10 most expensive and luxury transportation and travel destinations, plus heaps more. We also guarantee multiple new uploads every week, so be sure to check us out. If you haven't done it already, please tap that like button and hit subscribe as we really appreciate it and it helps us to bring out more content that we know you love. Thank you for watching Luxury Living.